6.5, 7 feels right. And I just feel like that's what we're going to talk about every year on this podcast, where it's like, is it 7 or 6 this year for the Maryland Terrapins?
Yeah.
Like, it's just never going to change.
Well, and from the West this year, they get Purdue at home, and they get Northwestern at home, and they go at Wisconsin. And so they just get their typical gauntlet in the Big Ten East. And then to get at Wisconsin is not helping any matters. I think at a conference, I think they should go 3-0 this year. Buffalo, SMU, and at Charlotte. But yeah, I'm kind of with you. I feel like it feels like another 6-6 year. I feel like the offense could be really good, but I'm going to go under.
That's the thing, is they have those 3-game spats, right, where I just don't see how it's not a 3-game losing streak, where they get at Michigan State at home, at Maryland, brutal. And then later on, you get at Wisconsin, at Penn State, Ohio State at home. Those are 6 losses. And I don't see the over. I'm going under.
I'm going to agree with you on that one. And then we got the Michigan Wolverines at 9.5.
This is the most difficult. Was this your most difficult to figure out?
I think so, because I can see 10 wins on this schedule, but there's also, like, they're not going to be as dominant defensively, I don't think, this year. And replacing the coordinators, that's not nothing. That's something you have to worry about. And we I feel like we all want to see J.J. McCarthy, but like, I don't know that J.J. McCarthy is like the answer by any means. And they didn't have bad quarterback play last year. I feel like their passing game was capable. You know, they tended to run the ball because they had 2 really good backs. So I feel like it's hard to find necessarily a third loss, because you look at their schedule. I think at Iowa is always a tricky game for everybody, and at Ohio State to end the season, you got some, and at Indiana, like at Rutgers, like I wouldn't worry too much about those. So you got Penn State, Maryland, and Nebraska, Michigan State are the big games all at home. Like, those are all winnable games. I don't know that they're like a solid enough team to just expect them to win all the games they should win. Like, they seem that they could get tripped up, and that could be where Iowa is. But at the end of the day, I can see them going 10-2, and like they're not going to beat Ohio State. I think Iowa is probably the best candidate for that second loss. Or I guess it would be the first loss in the season. So I am going to go over, but it wasn't an easy over for me.
I think the loss is actually not to Iowa on the road. I think they beat Iowa on the road. I think it's either Penn State at home or Michigan State at home. They get a bye in between those, which is nice, but I could see one of those two going awry at home.
That's true.
He is
0-2 against Mel Tucker so far.
That's true. But when you look at the schedule, like, this is a nice non-conference slate, like you said. You get a lot of your big games at home. You get Penn State at home. You get Michigan State at home. You get Nebraska at home. Like, that's nice. That Ohio State's your only big, real road test on your Big Ten schedule. So, for me, this looks like you said. I see 10 wins on the schedule. But I have something else that might surprise you, Matt Green. This is something that I think needs to come up with when we talk about J.J. McCarthy and Cade McNamara. And this is something I was thinking about, where I'm like, because I'm sure Michigan fans are going in this year and they're like, fuck, man. Like, Cade again. Like, we know, like, the ceiling. Like, the Georgia game is your last memory of Michigan football. We were like, we had this awesome run. We finally beat Ohio State. It was an awesome game. We out-physicaled them. It was fun. We had that halftime scuffle or pregame. I don't even remember which one it was, where we're coming out of the tunnel and just getting in their face and being like, we run this rivalry now. You feel like you turn the corner. Jim Harbaugh doesn't go back to the NFL. Dude, when you look at this offense, it was run. I look at it, and so when people are worried about like J.J. McCarthy being in there, and I'm like, did you watch this offense last year? This was Wisconsin. This was prime Wisconsin. I looked it up.
Yeah.
They were number 1 in yards per carry last year in the Big Ten. They were number 1 in rushing offense. They were number 1 in rushing touchdowns, and it wasn't particularly close. I wonder if it doesn't even matter who's at quarterback, if that's how they're going to use that quarterback. So people are like, oh, I want JJ, the 5-star. It's like, I don't know if Jim Harbaugh and this group want to run that kind of offense. I think they want to be ground first. They want to be a Blake Corum first team. I think they want to beat you and pulverize you on the ground and hope that they don't have to, use Cade McNamara or J.J. McCarthy in a way that they have to go just ball out and experiment and freestyle and win them a football game come the playoff time. That's how I see it.
I think 2021 Michigan gives me a lot of 2017 Clemson vibes.
How so?
Do you recall who Clemson's quarterback was in 2017?
Kelly Bryant?
That is correct. And I feel like Kelly Bryant, I got into so many Twitter conversations comparing Kelly Bryant to Jake Fromm. Like, that's why Justin Fields should have started over Jake Fromm. Look at what Clemson did. They started Trevor Lawrence over Kelly Bryant, that sort of thing. But what everyone left out was that Jake Fromm actually played really well, and Kelly Bryant was just a mediocre quarterback. And most importantly, when Jake Fromm was Georgia's quarterback as a freshman, like, you were a busted coverage away from winning a national championship. So there was no reason to think you couldn't win a national championship with Jake Fromm had things not bounced a different way. But Clemson had the fortune, honestly, of just getting absolutely manhandled by Alabama in the semifinals in 2017. So there's no, well, if this happened, maybe we could have beaten out. It was like, no. This team is good, and it has a clear ceiling with Kelly Bryant as the quarterback. There's just, we're not going to get past one of the big-time teams. We might as well throw the freshman in there and see what he could do, especially a freshman as big-time as Trevor Lawrence was. So you look at what they had in the passing game. What was it, 10 touchdowns, like 3 picks or something Cade McNamara threw last year? Like, didn't turn the ball over, but just had, very little impact in the passing game. For this to be as dominant of a running game as it was, if you
21
can...
TDs, 9 picks total for the offense, but I don't know how many of those were Cade.
McNamara, I think, was only like 11 or 12. You looking it up right now?
JJ got like close to 10.
So you have to look that up for me. But
yeah.
So if you can get an impact player out of your quarterback, maybe the turnover free guy is all you really need to do. So I feel like just for that purpose, like, you probably throw J.J. McCarthy in there because, he can probably come in there and manage the game and go 10 touchdowns, 2 picks or something, and maybe he's actually a game changer that can open things up, and Michigan's ceiling is higher than we previously realized. So I think, like you said, with this regular season schedule, I think they can win 10 games with either quarterback, but I think there's a chance that they're a dark horse playoff contender if McCarthy can come in there and actually be a game changer.
I have a take for you.
Hit me.
People are talking about Braylon Allen a lot. We'll get to Wisconsin. We talk about Heisman dark horses. I think Blake Corum's a Heisman dark horse. I think he has a real shot of getting to New York.
He's a dynamic playmaker for sure. Can he be the guy that carries the load? Like, he was the number 2 back with Haskins last year. Mm-hmm. Like, well, he missed a game or 2 with injury, I think, last year. So it's, some guys can be that, kind
TDs,
of.
Though, last year, 14.
He had 20 TDs.
Yes.
No, he didn't have 20 TDs.
Rushford, I'm looking at.
Haskins had 20 TDs. Corum had 11.
Why does
I'm looking at it
now. Why does the
now.
Michigan site say that he had 20? Rushed for 1,400 yards and added 280 receiving yards to go along with 20 touchdowns as a junior. That might be total, rushing and receiving.
That could be it. Yeah, I only had like 141 yards rushing. So he was at, or receiving, he's at 950 yards. Like, those are basically Haskins numbers, 1327 and 20.